Alright boys, so the Santa Karna event is in full swing on the JP version of the game, and it should be live when this video goes up, or it's going to go live tonight. Kind of depends on when I actually drop this video, but this video is going to be about why you should farm Santa Karna, because he's actually up there in my opinion as one of the better free-to-play servants we've gotten. He's not really in the same category as, say, like Kentucky Rider or Chloe, where they just spam their NP all over the place with like the greatest ease. But he's kind of like Shiki, right? Where he's just like an all-purpose DPS that just does a little bit of everything. He's got a few things here and there that I don't think are super great, or that they kind of designed in a way to kind of hold him back just a little bit. But if you're missing out on a really strong single target saber, or just a good quick DPS in general, then this is going to be your guy. Before we begin, if you have not already, make sure you leave a like on the video and you subscribe to the channel for that sweet daily FGO content. Also, every weekday I stream over on my Twitch, and that's usually around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But with that all being said, let's go ahead and just start diving right into the servant, starting off with his hits. Now, Santa Karna is a quick servant, but he's also rocking double buster cards because he also has the ability to do some nice buster crits, so do keep that in mind as well. And obviously rocking the double quick cards does mean he can quick chain with his own NP, but even aside from that, his hits are really strong, like 4 on both of the quick and 3 on the arts card. While being a crit servant does mean that he's going to be critting all over the place, and with that 0.78% NP gain, he's going to be refunding a decent bit of his NP back at the same time as well. I guess maybe like the one weakness you could try to assign to him is that like his star gen isn't super high. It's only 10.2%, but the fact that like A, he is a quick servant, and B, can quick chain with himself, and C, on the JP version they buffed how quick chains work, it should be fine, and he should gen enough stars for him to do some decent crits. On that though, there's nothing really else to say about the hits, so let's start moving into some of the skills. And skill 1 introduces, again, like one of those like weird design choices that I think they kind of put in there to maybe hold him back just a little bit. He's getting a 30% quick and a 30% buster buff for 3 turns, but you only get 3 hits on them. And then he's getting 50% crit damage for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. This is one of those skills that you generally want to have up at all times. The 50% crit damage buff is really strong. That's the same crit buff that Waver is giving to people, so you know he's doing decent crits. 30% buster and quick is pretty standard. You either get like the 30% for 3 turns or like 50% for 1 turn, right? It's a balance of one or the other. That's generally how they design things. And because of the overcharge on his NP, he functionally actually has like a 50% quick buff. It's just kind of weird because you can burn through all of your quick cards on like your first Brave chain, right? Like if you do like quick NP into both of his quick cards, you kind of just burned all of the quick cards. So it's kind of like if you want to make it last for like say a longer fight, you do need to kind of divvy out your cards a little bit better, if that makes sense. It's still generally fine. You shouldn't really like waste any of them, but you can just kind of burn through a lot of his buffs really quickly. But at the very least, he still does have the crit damage buff. So even after like you do use both of his performance buffs, you're still going to be able to do some decent damage. It's just you really do want that quick buff, because that quick buff is not only raising the damage of his NP, but also the NP gain of all of his quick cards. So it's really important that he has that, so that when he does like quick crits, he's refunding a lot more of his NP. But again, he's got other stuff to kind of help make up for that. It's just a little bit of a weird design choice. Like I didn't think it'd be too broken if they just gave it to him for 3 turns, but I don't know, maybe they're still trying to sell like some other guy, right? They're trying to sell like Astolfo Saber to people, or they're trying to still sell Okita or something like that. You don't want Karna Santa to be too good and put them out of a job or something. Anyway, moving over to his second skill. This is doing a lot for him. So first and foremost, it's giving him 2 hits of evasion that last for 3 turns. So kind of like the Coup skill, just a little bit worse. Still really good when it comes to survivability. Very good that as a quick servant, he has his own way to keep himself safe, because Scotty pretty notoriously doesn't do a great job at keeping her allies alive. She's like, man, I got that 1 dodge on the NP and that's going to have to carry us there. So very good that he's got some pretty strong protection for himself, but then he also just has like the Scotty quick crit skill just built into him, because then he gets big star weight for a turn. Well, not super big, but decent star weight for a turn, and then 100% quick crit damage. So for some reason, they were just like, yeah, we're just gonna bake that into his kit so that whenever you click the second skill, which you can pretty much do whenever you want, because since the dodges are attack based and they do last for 3 turns, they don't just go to waste the turn that you pop the skill, which I think is the way to build these skills. It's not to do like the Raiko thing to give them like 1 turn of like dodge and then also give them some of their offensive skills, right? It's to be like, all right, if we're gonna put the defensive skills on the offensive skills, we at least make them turn based, right? Or hit based, my bad. That way we don't actually waste them if we want to go for big quick crit damage, right? Because the attacks will still be there if you need them. But yeah, you pretty much click this whenever you need to live, or you want to just obliterate somebody with quick cards. Which again, shouldn't really be that hard to do, especially considering how JP just made like quick chains super dummy nutty. If you're on the NA version, like they basically took quick chains and were like, you know, they dropped 10 stars, or they dropped 20 stars now. You're like, okay, this is a little dummy nutty. Anyway, moving on to his last skill. This is a targetable skill that's going to give one of your allies, and it's probably going to be Karna most of the time, 20% battery, and it's going to give them 3 instances of debuff immunity that last for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. This one is actually kind of fine being hit-based because you usually don't get debuffed like that often that you need it to be like 3 blanketed turns. 3 times is probably good enough. It's just good for Karna in general to have this debuff immunity because if you slap it on himself, you know, he can't be like stunned, he can't be charmed, they can't lower his attack, his defense, anything like that. Really kind of protects him from being hindered because Karna realistically just wants to get in there and then just start punching the enemy until they explode. And so being able to have this small battery is able to, at the very least, help him be a little bit more consistent if he's lost his quick buffs or you're just not getting crits for whatever reason. Maybe the boss is stealing your stars, some of them do that. It helps him stay a little consistent, and it also makes sure that he's not going to be interrupted as he's just punching the enemy. Now, that also being said, his NP is the largest punch, right? It's got 8 hits on it, so you can get some decent refund off of it if you're getting overkill on a boss. And probably more importantly, because it's got some high hits, you can drop a couple of stars with it as well, but it's kind of got a very oddly specific effect. It removes the enemy's guts before he punches them, which is like kinda nice. I just wish it removed defensive buffs, that way he could like remove invincibilities and dodges and stuff as well. So like he can't get around that, but if they specifically are like Hercules or something, or you're fighting like a coup boss or something, you'd be like, well, I can't get around your dodges, but if your dodge isn't up, then boy howdy, I'm about to just smack you in the face. So I guess it's like kind of situationally just kind of nice, I suppose. The overcharge is really strong, giving him 20 to 40% quick performance for 1 turn, and it procs first. This is also why I was kind of talking about the first skill and saying that, like, well, if you lose it, it's not the end of the world, because technically, as long as you're still firing the NP, you are still getting that quick buff, and it does last for the turn, so any quick cards that follow will get the extra damage, and they'll get the extra NP gain from this quick buff, because card performance buffs everything about the card. So it kind of mitigates the issues I have with the first skill. That's why I didn't make like that big of a deal about it. It's like still annoying at the end of the day, but at least they kind of baked this into his kit. And it's also why whenever you fire his NP and the first skill is still up, he does functionally have a 50% quick buff, because that 20% is adding into that 30% on the first skill. Again, only as long as like the first skill is still up, right? Like you haven't used up your quick hits. But yeah, Santa Karna is very, very strong. He's like one of the better free-to-plays in my opinion. Like I think he is like on the better side of a lot of these free-to-play guys. He's just good. I don't think he's like, again, super insane like Kentucky Rider who's got like the 50% battery and is like stacking quick buffs on his NP and is looping a million bajillion % of his NP back anyway, and he's critting all over the place. I don't think he's like that broken. Then again, Kentucky Rider's like broken because he's like doing like one really simple thing, but he does it just insanely well. Santa Karna just kind of does like everything you would want a DPS to do. Like he's got some survivability that's pretty decent. He can do some really good damage because he's a free NP5. He can get around guts in those situational niche cases where the enemy is using guts and it's not like unremovable or something. Card buffs are good, crit damage is good, it can do 1 turn of really big quick crits that synergizes really well with Scotty. So like, just decent all around, just like a really good servant that you need to make sure you actually go ahead and get, alright? I know you're going to be lotto farming, But don't forget to, like, actually go get your Santa Karna. Like, go finish the story, make sure you get him, and then go back to farming boxes. You got some downtime before, like, all the good nodes come out. So with all that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Again, don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Check out the Twitch that is linked in the description down below. And I will catch you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace, late, guys.